All right, joining us to discuss healthy financial habits in 2025 even further is Gerald Mwandiambira. He's CEO of Sugar Creek Wealth. Good evening, Gerald. Thank you very much for joining us on The Full View. Now, as the saying goes, new year, new me, and for some that new me relates to their finances. Talk us through your rules for financial freedom.
Look, I think the rules for financial freedom will always be around how you manage your personal economy. I like the use of the term spending plan as opposed to budget because it puts a positive spin on how you manage your day-to-day expenses. But what is very important is a regular look at your finances so that you are well aware of your expenses and cut back where you are. For most South Africans, people are still recovering from the effects of COVID-19, so it's still very important to keep track of your finances. When you're keeping track of your finances, it's also important to save and where possible also start investing so that your savings can actually grow.
Gerald, just to chime in there, when we talk about keeping track of your spending, is this practically something that looks like perhaps every month printing out your statement or just going through your statement perhaps on your laptop to see exactly what are the items that you use your money on?
Yes, most people don't tend to go through their bank statements, and banks do make mistakes because they're human beings. So it's important to check your bank statement regularly, and most of the banking apps from the banks will even break down your spending and give you a snapshot of how you're behaving. So you have it categorized by entertainment, critical expenses, or whatever categories you choose, which just makes it easier. So we need to take use of the technology that is around us, which allows us to keep track. But most importantly, if you have not looked at your bank statement, it means that you're not in control of the finances. You're not a money master, but you're rather working as a money slave.
Okay, so we keep track of our finances. What else is another rule, at least, to at some point attain that financial freedom?
Another rule which you can attain is probably trying to create a secondary income where possible. Not all of us were created to hustle and have side hustle, but where possible, if you can have that secondary income, it will definitely boost your financial standing. And if you don't want to actually actively work for the second income, you can invest. And then investments create passive income in the medium to long term, which will definitely help you to manage your expenses.
Okay, so which would be the best investments right now if we wanted that passive income?
Look, investment depends on your risk profile. So I would suggest you sit down with a certified financial planning professional to just understand your own personal risk profile. Because our profiles are determined by our childhood, our experiences, and our general understanding of money. But generally speaking, investments are places where you can put money for a minimum of 5 years and then expect a return in the future with growth, which is your money growing, or capital appreciation, which is the value of the investment also growing in time. Would property still be a great investment now for some that perhaps have the money to invest in another apartment per se? Property is never a bad investment because, one, it gives you capital appreciation and it also gives you growth. So property is definitely one of the most popular passive investments people go for. But just be careful that if it's an investment property, that you're able to manage the bond and also the related expenses. Also, what most people forget is the SARS responsibility in terms of reporting your income from secondary properties, which can actually, if you don't do it, bite you in the back in the future.
When it comes to property, many have spoken of the horror stories of actually having tenants, but now where you find that you even have to top up from the rental because you cannot charge a certain amount of rent, perhaps in a specific area, that they would find themselves even topping up to ensure that their bond is up to date, just purely because they deliberately set that rent a bit low. What must happen in that respect for some of those that deal with such situations? Are they ill-advised or how does it work?
Yes, definitely. I think you need to be in a situation where should you not receive rental income, you can actually step in the gap, but it's important, most importantly, to consult. I think with all our major financial decisions, we've taken it upon ourselves to make these choices, but actually, because they are actually long-term decisions, we need to definitely sit down. So I would say another piece of advice for 2025 is to hire a professional financial planning professional to guide you on your journey.
Now, when hiring a personal finance assistant or somebody that will guide you through this, is it not something that would be needed by some people within a higher tax bracket, or it's almost anybody that can actually seek the services of such an individual?
Look, anyone can seek the services of a financial advisor. Just try and get someone who's out to give you advice as opposed to sell you products. But there are many reputable financial advisors who work with clients on their wealth journey from start to end, so they'll work with you as you grow your money.
All right. And then some tend to set very high goals, enticed by the end result. But how important is it for one to set realistic goals?
You need to set realistic goals because just like you didn't get yourself into debt overnight, you need to realize to get out of debt and to create wealth takes time. One of the biggest enemies to creating wealth is greed and instant gratification. So it is important, as you said, to pace yourself and set realistic goals. And realistic goals can even sound as silly as just saving 50 Rand a week for a month. Do that. Next month, do 100. Next month, do 150. The thing about saving and creating wealth is an experience. Once you've experienced it, you tend to repeat and start doing it over and over again. It requires sacrifice, commitment, and discipline. And when you set unrealistic goals, you simply never get started.
Now, this time of the year, January, everybody's upbeat, they're quite positive. The youth have even dubbed this year 2020 Thrive. How can one then thrive beyond just managing their expenses? Where here, you've probably wanted, there are those who would have set a goal to say, I just want to be able to pay my debt. But what of those that actually want to thrive, not survive in this year? What would just be that one rule?
If your rule for 2025 is to 2020 Thrive, you need to be empowering yourself. I would say go and acquire as much information, knowledge around creation of wealth from the internet, from TikTok even, or books. But obviously you need to have a wide array of sources to empower yourself. You find if you educate yourself better around money, you make less and fewer mistakes over time and definitely can reach that point where you're financially thriving and increasing your monthly credit score.
Educate yourself better around money. Gerald, thank you very much for your time this evening. That's Gerald Mwandiambira. He's CEO of Sugar Creek Wealth, speaking to us there.